Welcome back to Crime Scene 24/7. To our returning subscribers, thank you for always engaging. Your likes, comments, and shares keeps us motivated. And if this is your first time here, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our chilling crime scenes. Here we dig deep, we investigate hard, and we bring you stories the mainstream left unsaid. So encourage us by engaging in our videos. Subscribe if you haven't, like, comment, and share. It was 10 a.m., May 2nd, 2025, when the Royal Canadian Mounted Police received the call. Two young children, siblings Lilly Sullivan, 6, and Jack Sullivan, 4, were missing. Their mother, Malehya Brooks-Murray, and their stepfather, Daniel Martel, say they were asleep in a bedroom of the family home, bedside their baby sister, when the older two simply vanished. By the time they awoke, the children were gone. From the earliest moments, the investigation was immense. Ground search teams, dog units, drones, helicopters, over 150 people combing the dense woods, the steep banks, and the underbrush surrounding the property on Candlelight Road. Despite that, no trace, no definitive clue, no confirmed sighting. The hours stretched into days, the days into weeks, and still the questions mounted. One of the first key revelations. The RCMP confirmed that Lilly and Jack had been seen in public with family members on the afternoon of May 1st, less than 24 hours before they were reported missing. Yet in the morning of May 2nd, they were no longer there. Investigators asked the public for any dash cam or surveillance video taken along Candlelight Road between April 28th and May 2nd. They interviewed dozens of people. Over 50 formal interviews were reported. They also revealed that polygraph tests had been administered to some individuals, signaling the intensity and seriousness of the investigation. A retired policing expert declared publicly that what began as a missing person search had transformed into a criminal investigation. The province of Nova Scotia later added this case to its major unsolved crimes program, offering a reward of up to CAD $150,000 for information of investigative value. Still, no breakthrough. For the mother, each moment is agony. In a recent interview, she said, "As a mother, I love my children more than life itself and feel so heartbroken not being able to hold my two children, Lilly and Jack. Every minute without them stretches into eternity." The terrain in and around Lansdowne Station is unforgiving. Wooded, rural, isolated, the search zones are vast, the weather often unforgiving. Authorities themselves admitted the chances the children were alive were very low, and yet hope lingers. Now, half a year later, the siblings remain missing. Volunteers, community members, and professionals alike continue to comb clues, to revisit footage, to plead to the public for any scrap of information. The family remains vigilant, the community remains watchful, and the world watches, asking, what happened to Lilly and Jack Sullivan? The morning sky over Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia, held an uneasy calm as the first faint light touched the woods beyond the family's property. Inside the modest home on Candlelight Road, the siblings, 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack Sullivan, had already slipped from view. Their mother, Malehya Brooks-Murray, and stepfather Daniel Martel were asleep in a bedroom just meters away beside their baby sister. When Lilly and Jack were reported missing at approximately 10 a.m. on May 2nd, 2025, the scale of the response was immediate and immense. Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, deployed teams of searchers, drones, aircraft, and dog units into the surrounding forest and wetlands. Investigators believed the children may have wandered away, though even then they recognized the terrain was unforgiving. In the days that followed, every avenue was opened. On May 28th, police confirmed that the siblings had been seen in public on the afternoon of May 1st, less than 24 hours before their disappearance. Investigators asked the public for any dash cam or home video footage capturing the stretch of road between April 28th and May 2nd. By May 7th, the search efforts were publicly scaled back. Teams shifted from broad canvases to more targeted areas of interest. The RCMP noted the odds of survival were very low, given the time elapsed and the terrain. As weeks turned into months, the investigation deepened. The RCMP revealed that 54 people had been interviewed, and polygraph testing administered to some. The province listed the disappearance under its major unsolved crimes program and offered a reward of up to CAD $150,000 for credible information. Through all this, the family's voice remained hauntingly the same, pleading. Malehya has spoken of her love for Lilly and Jack and the anguish of waking each morning to their absence. Community vigils lit the darkness of evening, neighbors held candles, and still the question stood, where did they go? What did they see? What unseen path pulled them into silence? As this investigation stretches on, the waiting becomes its own burden for the children, for their family, for the community. And though the search shifted in form, the hope did not fade. It transformed into a vigil of patience, of repetition, of quiet belief that somewhere, someone knows something that will change everything. The early weeks of the investigation moved quickly. Within days of the siblings' disappearance, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, confirmed they had collected over hundreds of tips from the public, more than 180 by mid-May. Investigators had interviewed 54 individuals and had executed several legal authorizations to seize devices and data for forensic review. Searchers poured through video footage from nearby roads and businesses. They isolated time windows and carefully re-examined the terrain surrounding the property on Gairloch Road, Lansdowne Station. By June 11th, the RCMP publicly acknowledged the case's complexity. They said their intensive approach would take longer than hoped, and that multiple RCMP units, including the Major Crime Unit and the Criminal Analysis Service, were working collaboratively. At the same time, the province's government posted a reward of up to CAD $150,000 for any information of investigative value. In August, court documents made public revealed a significant shift. As of mid-July, the RCMP reportedly no longer considered the case to be criminal in nature. That revelation prompted concern among the family and community, who came to believe that either the case was being reclassified or that utterly new leads were yet to emerge. As the calendar turned to autumn, the mother, Malehya Brooks-Murray, took up a more visible role in public appeals. In October, she posted deeply personal messages saying, "As a mother, I love my children more than life itself and feel so heartbroken not being able to hold my two children, Lilly and Jack. No matter how lost I feel, I have not given up hope that my children will be returned home to me safe and sound." A candlelight vigil was organized for October 29th, the 5th birthday of Jack, as the community marked yet another milestone without resolution. And yet, despite the volume of leads and the mix of investigative methods, from video analytics to psychosocial interviews to local search operations, no confirmed trace of 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan or 4-year-old Jack Sullivan has been located. In the weeks following the disappearance of 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack Sullivan from their rural Nova Scotia home on the morning of May 2, 2025, the investigation entered phases of intense scrutiny, layered complexity, and lingering unknowns. As of mid-July, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police publicly confirmed they had reviewed roughly 5,000 video files obtained from the region around the home on Gairloch Road in Lansdowne Station and other nearby locations. Alongside the footage, investigators assessed more than 600 public tips and conducted formal interviews with over 60 individuals, some of whom underwent polygraph examinations. During that phase, a key forensic item emerged, a pink blanket found near the property which the family later confirmed belonged to Lilly. The blanket is now undergoing forensic analysis to determine any possible link to the children's disappearance. In parallel, the children's paternal grandmother, Belinda Gray, went public in July 2025 demanding a formal inquiry into protective services' prior involvement. She raised questions about visits to the family home in the months before the disappearance and whether warning signs had been overlooked. Union of agencies expanded. The RCMP Major Crime and Behavioral Sciences Unit in Northeast Nova joined forces with the Canadian Centre for Child Protection, the National Centre for Missing Persons and Unidentified Remains, and other provincial and national agencies to ensure all leads are followed. Through the summer, the family's efforts remained visible. Signs bearing images of Lilly and Jack appeared in front yards across Pictou County, as community members and supporters rallied to keep their faces and names in public view. Despite all this activity, the exhaustive video review, hundreds of interviews, forensic work, and mounting public interest, the investigators confirmed in a July 16, 2025 news release that no substantive trace of Lilly or Jack had been found. The case remains active under the Missing Persons Act, and the public plea for information remains urgent. The small community around Lansdowne Station has repeatedly shown its strength and solidarity in the search for 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack Sullivan. In the days following their disappearance on May 2, 2025, neighbors brought out flashlights and blankets. Into the summer, yard signs bearing the siblings' faces appeared in front of homes across Pictou County. A public vigil was held on October 29th, Jack's 5th birthday, where families gathered under flickering candles, each flame representing hope that the children might one day be found. On social media, the twins' mother, Malehya Brooks-Murray, shared heart-wrenching pleas, "Not being able to breathe in their scent when I embrace them tightly. I don't want these moments to be memories. I want my babies home." Local volunteers have organized repeated search flyover efforts even after the initial large-scale operation was scaled back in May. Families handed out flyers at shopping centers, community centers hosted information sessions, and schools distributed awareness materials to remind people that Lilly and Jack remain missing. Additional witness statements emerged in October from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police (RCMP) investigation. Among them, a resident reported hearing a vehicle coming and going near the family's property in the early hours of May 2nd. While the search tactics have shifted away from broad canvassing to more targeted analysis of tips and data, the public's role has not faded. The province's reward of up to CAD $150,000 continues to be promoted across neighborhoods and online platforms. Through this shared community-wide effort, the pain of Lilly and Jack's absence is carried by many voices, friends, neighbors, strangers, all united in the hope that one day these two children will come home. The investigation into the disappearance of 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack Sullivan entered a quietly urgent phase as summer turned towards fall in Nova Scotia. After the initial expansive ground search operations had been scaled back, teams from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, shifted focus into forensics, tip analysis, and interviewing. By July 16, 2025, investigators disclosed that a very coordinated, deliberate approach was underway, one that included reviewing around 5,000 video files, assessing more than 600 public tips, interviewing over 60 individuals, some of whom underwent polygraphs, and undertaking forensic work on physical items seized from the property. Among the items under review was a pink blanket found outside the home on Gairloch Road in Lansdowne Station, later confirmed by the family to belong to Lilly. Investigators are examining the blanket for potential connections to the siblings' disappearance. At the same time, investigators acknowledge the search may take longer than originally hoped. They confirmed that multiple specialized RCMP units, including the Major Crime Unit, the Behavioral Sciences Group, the Criminal Analysis Service, along with national agencies such as the Canadian Centre for Child Protection and the National Centre for Missing Persons and Unidentified Remains, are involved. Although no fresh public leads have been announced in recent weeks, the family and community remain vigilant. The province's CAD $150,000 reward continues to stand, and every tip, scrap of video footage, and piece of data is being treated with care. The investigative spotlight has shifted into analytical mode as investigators sift through evidentiary fragments while the clock keeps ticking in the disappearance of 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack Sullivan. In the weeks after the large-scale search was scaled back in early May, CCTV and dashcam footage became central. Investigators requested any video taken along Gairloch Road and adjacent routes between April 28 and May 2, following confirmation that the siblings had been seen with family in the afternoon of May 1. Meanwhile, forensic teams began examining physical items recovered near the Lansdowne Station property, including a pink blanket confirmed by the family as Lilly's found outside the home. At the same time, questions surfaced about the days preceding the disappearance. Court documents indicated that a child protection worker had visited the home in the months before May 2nd, following concerns raised at the children's school. Investigators interviewed and administered polygraphs to more than 60 individuals as part of a methodical, deliberate investigation led by the Northeast Nova Major Crime Unit. There is still no publicly confirmed evidence of abduction. While the siblings were initially believed to have wandered away from the property, the absence of footprints, sightings, or definitive tracks beyond the nearby terrain has fueled scrutiny of that scenario. For the family and community, every unanswered question weighs heavy. How did two young children simply vanish from a home while others slept? Why was no trace found along what should have been the first search areas? The hours after the initial disappearance entered a critical, intensive stage as the investigation of Lilly Sullivan, 6, and her brother Jack Sullivan, 4, progressed. On May 30, 2025, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police (RCMP) announced that ground search efforts would resume over the upcoming weekend. They specifically targeted the area around Candlelight Road and a nearby pipeline trail after identifying a boot print of interest. Investigators emphasized that the extensive ground search in early May had already covered heavily wooded terrain and involved hundreds of search hours, but no conclusive evidence of the children's whereabouts had emerged. At the same time, official updates indicated the case was shifting beyond a simple missing persons scenario. On June 11, 2025, the RCMP released a formal statement saying more than 11 RCMP units from across Nova Scotia were now involved, alongside national agencies such as the Canadian Centre for Child Protection and the National Centre for Missing Persons and Unidentified Remains. They also disclosed that virtually all search techniques were being deployed: digital forensics, underwater recovery, behavioral science consultation, and truth verification interviews. During July, investigators announced that they were examining a pink blanket believed to belong to Lilly. The blanket had been located outside the family home, and forensic analysis was underway to determine whether it held any evidentiary value. Meanwhile, over 700 tips had been submitted by the public by mid-August, as the community continued to hold on to hope while urging anyone with even minor information to contact the RCMP. Despite these efforts, by mid-July, well over 2 months after the siblings went missing, the investigation had yet to identify any credible trace of their whereabouts. The search had gradually shifted to intelligence and data analysis rather than full-scale canvassing. As this chapter closes, the investigation stands at a crossroads. With broad search operations scaled down, the focus now rests on tip analysis, forensic leads, and unraveling what happened in the narrow window from the afternoon of May 1st to the morning of May 2nd. In the hours leading up to the disappearance of 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack Sullivan, the layout of the family home and the siblings' routine are under deep scrutiny by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP. According to court filings and publicly released documents, Lilly and Jack lived with their mother, Malehya Brooks-Murray, their stepfather, Daniel Martel, and a baby sister in a rural off-grid property on Candlelight Road in Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia. Martel has stated that both he and Brooks-Murray were asleep in the couple's bedroom early on the morning of May 2, 2025, while the children were elsewhere in the home. The last confirmed sighting of Lilly and Jack in public was on the afternoon of May 1, 2025. Investigators are particularly interested in 2 exit points in the house: a large sliding door at the rear and the front entrance secured by a wrench placed on the door the previous night. Martel has asserted that the wrench remained undisturbed when he awoke and noticed the children missing. That suggests the rear sliding door may have been used by the children, or by someone else, to leave the home. The house's rear faces dense woodland and a pipeline trail which becomes difficult to traverse once the undergrowth thickens and the light fades. Search and rescue logs show the RCMP concentrated efforts along that trail late May 31, 2025, after a boot print was located near that corridor. At the time they went missing, the terrain outside the home featured steep banks, wooded slopes, and a creek nearby, factors that complicate the timeline of what could happen once 2 young children leave the safety of the property. One investigator later told the media the technical difficulty of the terrain may have made any wandering or unintended exit far more dangerous than initially assumed. As for the children's last known movements, Brooks-Murray and Martell told police that the children were not at school the day they vanished and had spent part of the late afternoon of May 1st with family in the town of New Glasgow. The next morning, the parents expected the children to be in the home as usual, but quickly discovered both missing. The investigation into the disappearance of 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack Sullivan now delves into the technical details of the search efforts and forensic work underway. On May 30th, 2025, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, issued a news release announcing a planned ground search operation for the weekend of May 31st encompassing the area around the family's property on Gairloch Road and a nearby pipeline trail, an area of interest after a boot print was located there earlier. Simultaneously, investigators have confirmed that more than 11 RCMP units are involved in the case, with support from national agencies such as the Canadian Centre for Child Protection and the National Centre for Missing Persons and Unidentified Remains. The volume of data being processed is staggering. Hundreds of hours of video footage from the surrounding region, including along Gairloch Road between April 28th and May 10th. By mid-July, the RCMP stated they had reviewed approximately 5,000 video files and received over 600 public tips for investigative value. One key item under forensic examination is the pink blanket that belonged to Lilly, collected during earlier search operations. Experts external to the RCMP have publicly remarked that the case has evolved into a full criminal investigation, not simply a missing persons inquiry. At the same time, investigators are also working under the constraints of time and terrain. The wooded, steep banks and pipeline corridor around the home complicate searches and dramatically reduce survival odds the longer the children remain missing. In the ongoing investigation into the disappearance of 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack Sullivan, new court documents released in August 2025 have revealed deeper layers of the case's forensic and technical work. According to filings, investigators obtained search warrants authorizing them to seize phone records, banking transactions, GPS data, and digital video logs for both the children's mother, Malehya Brooks-Murray, and stepfather, Daniel Martell. In the same documents, it was disclosed that at least one additional piece of the pink blanket known to belong to Lilly was found in a garbage bin at the end of the driveway of the home on Gairloch Road in Lansdowne Station. Investigators noted that while the blanket had been subject to analysis, a police dog team was unable to obtain a clear scent path from that location. Moreover, the filings show that the polygraph tests administered to both Brooks-Murray and Martell, alongside others interviewed, returned results that the investigators initially characterized as indicating truthful responses. Despite this, the investigation continues to treat all scenarios as open. Investigative briefs also highlight that although the initial ground search operations were scaled back early, analysis of physical terrain, video footage, and digital forensics became central to the investigation's second phase. Weeks have turned into months, and the silence surrounding the disappearance of 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack Sullivan still echoes through the forests of Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia. Despite thousands of investigative hours, hundreds of tips, and a community's relentless hope, the truth remains elusive. As of October 2025, the case remains active. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police have reaffirmed their commitment to the investigation, insisting that every credible lead, no matter how small, will continue to be pursued. The $150,000 reward offered by the province of Nova Scotia still stands for information that could finally bring closure to the Sullivan family. For their mother, Malehya Brooks-Murray, each day is a reminder of what has been lost and of what cannot be given up. In her most recent message, she said softly, "Every morning I wake up hoping today is the day. I just want to hold them again, to tell them that I never stopped looking." The town that once slept soundly now keeps vigil. Posters with the children's faces remain on telephone poles, weather-worn but unmoved. At night, the candles still flicker outside homes, a quiet vow from neighbors who refuse to let Lilly and Jack be forgotten. And as this story continues, so too does the pursuit of truth. Somewhere out there lies the answer to what happened between the afternoon of May 1st, 2025 and the morning of May 2nd, a truth hidden in plain sight, waiting to surface. If you believe in truth, if you believe every missing child deserves to be found, then stay with us. Follow this story, share it, keep their names alive, because awareness keeps hope breathing. This is Crime Scene 24/7, where real stories meet real investigations. If you've been moved by the story of Lilly and Jack Sullivan, please subscribe, like, and share this video. Your voice helps bring light to the darkest corners of unsolved cases, and maybe, just maybe, it helps bring 2 children home. Until the next case, keep watching, keep caring, and keep searching.